Alright, we're the young geniuses behind Echoes of Incarceration. We're doing a bunch of these short advocacy films, and our first topic was grandparenting.
We all feel strong about this topic because we all lived with our grandparents at one point in our life.
I think for the grandparent, it's stressful, and it takes a toll on them mentally and physically and emotionally.
The grandparent piece is the one we could all relate to the most. Myself, I was raised by my grandmother.
I think we all started about this thinking about grandparenting. I think that was our first impulse. And I think it was really Ann Adela's-Estrin, our advisor, who said, well, this should really be expanded to all caregivers. And I think there was a moment we all realized that Francis is a child of an incarcerated parent, but he's also a caregiver.
And I just realized that me and the grandparents are in the same boat. I mean, there's incarceration, and then there are kids who need love, and we have to do the best we can.
First, my name is Cherie Simmons, and I'm taking care of two of my grandchildren.
I have only one grandchild. I've been taking care of her ever since she's 3 months old. She's 30 years old now.
My name's Francis, and I've been a caregiver for my 8-year-old brother and 10-year-old sister since my mother had been incarcerated.
I always thought it was funny people call me a caregiver. I'm the mother. My children were 2 and 6 when their dad went to prison.
When I first found out that I had to care for them, I wasn't excited about it. Their father was away. They had been taken away from their mother by ACS, and it was just sort of traumatic at the time.
While my daughter was being handcuffed in the courthouse, they had an advocate from for the children, and they asked them, well, we're gonna put them in foster care. I told the advocate, do not put your hands on them. I'm taking them. Me and my son is gonna take care of them. We don't need you to put them in. Well, we're gonna put them in. No, you're not putting my grandkids anywhere. I had to let my job know what was going on. I think the job was the hardest part for me, trying to explain to strangers why I was gonna take so much time off.
There was time that people will judge how did she get involved into a situation that she did.
And a lot of people were kind of negative about me taking care of the children, mainly because I was a paternal grandmother.
When you go to prison or when a family member go to prison, people don't want to be around you for the most part. Some family members don't even come around.
There was a time with my son where, he would be in school and the teachers, anytime there was a problem, they would think he must be the problem because his dad was in prison, so probably there was something wrong with him too.
At the same time, you don't get to move on with your personal goals and aspirations. You have to put everything on hold to make sure these kids are all right.
We always wanted to do this piece based on appreciating our grandparents, but it wasn't always easy.
When it comes to living with grandparents, definitely not the easiest thing.
I know for me, the generation gap is a big struggle.
My own grandmother used to tell me I was going to end up like my father, and I didn't really appreciate that.
Yes, there are times when I feel like my grandmother took her anger out on me and it had nothing to do with me.
Me being in this position now, I understand how stressful that could have been for my grandmother at the point.
Part of this piece was just basically to explore some of the difficult moments of being raised by a grandparent.
I think one of the hardest things for caregivers is to be able to not take out your own problems, issues, stresses, prejudices on your children.
When it gets too crazy for me, that's how I know for a fact it's definitely crazy for them if I can't handle it.
I was very angry at my daughter, and I know that that anger I transfer it to my granddaughter sometimes. Why? I really can explain that, but when you try your very best to bring a child up the proper way and things don't turn out the way that you expect them, you do get very angry.
We never told them that their father was incarcerated. We were devastated by the whole idea.
And I didn't want to tell Stacy about it. I just tried to spare her a lot of pain.
We told the truth about where we were, and we told the truth about, kind of the truth about why he was there. What I didn't tell the truth about was how long he would be there.
But it came to the point that I just had to tell her, because you can't hide these things forever.
How they found out was that I was talking to my sister on the phone one day, and I called my son's name and said, "That stupid boy," and ended up in jail. And at the time, his oldest daughter was right there, and she looked at me, and her eyes got big, and she started to cry, and she said, "He's in jail?" Then I had to talk to her.
They trusted us less after that because eventually children find out the truth, and when they find out that you've lied to them, it's worse. It's even worse than if you had just told them the truth in the first place.
We took them to visit their parent. I wanted them to know who their parents were.
I used to bring her every 3 months so we can visit her in Bedford Hills.
When they became older and he came home and he went back to prison, we didn't go visit him, and they had no desire.
It was difficult going back to the jails with the kids. I would go by myself to visit her. I couldn't stand it. I couldn't stand seeing her in there with the clothes. I couldn't stand the whole environment, and I didn't see what good it was for me. But eventually I took the kids to go visit my mom, and being able to be there physically for each other, holding her hand with the kids, them drawing, doodling, doing all those little silly things helped. I would try to mix up the televisit with the jail visits. The televisiting is basically like Skyping with my mom. Anything possible to keep my mom connected with us while she was away.
I don't think there's much that's more important than visiting. Now, of course, everybody's had a bad experience, but at the end of the day, being able to see somebody and know that they're okay.
You cannot be the mother or the father, so when you get the chance, you kind of have to let the parents be the parents.
There's always a choice when you think about the needs of children of incarcerated parents. Are you going to serve the children? Are you going to serve the incarcerated parent? Are you going to serve the caregiver? And that choice to serve the caregiver has rarely, if ever, been made. I think having a policy where grandparent caregivers and relative caregivers could receive some subsidies, subsidized guardianships, would be very helpful.
I think caregivers need the same thing other people in stressful situations need, which is being around other people who have the same experience.
I joined quite a few groups. I acquired a lot of knowledge, and that also kept me going.
To air your differences, be able to talk about it. We share whatever we're going through. We laugh, we cry, we eat. But yeah, I think it's important to get support from others.
In an ideal world, a society that does not stigmatize. In an ideal world, systems that actually focus really on the best interest of the children and give all the support to those who are taking care of them.
The only thing that I can say, you love your child, your grandchild, and don't give up, because there's hope.
When people see this video that we're making, I just want people to know that there's grandparents out there that's struggling and that need help.
Our reason for doing this project is so that the grandparents do feel appreciated and know that they're not being ignored.
I hope that grandparents can understand that their grandchildren do appreciate them and everything they do for them. I appreciate my grandparents. I might not show it all the time because they get on my nerve a lot.
Interviewing these grandparents, they're very strong people, and I've just learned to be more strong, if anything. It's sad that we have to be in this position, but this is our reality, and you know, this is not the end of us.
Let it rain, follow the drip. Yeah, hey grandma, hey grandpa, look at your grandson. I done ran far.